to continue making forward progress is actually stronger than the desire to indulge in the addiction.
Yeah.
And that is a habit. That is forming a new habit. And that forming of that new habit gives you the strength to continue doing something different. It allows you to deal with your trigger in such a way that it doesn't allow, or it creates a different protocol for you. Instead of accessing that addiction, you start doing something else. You may, instead of watching porn or resulting in drug use, you might decide to go out and work out, or you work in the exercise, or do something. You put a positive in the place. So that's the other thing, the replacement of your addiction with something positive. Go ahead.
And also too, the for us, especially as Christian men, and that was a practical level, by the way. And when I say practical, it doesn't mean that Christ is not, or God is not practical, but we also have tools here God has given us to use on earth. Yeah. Now, there are some things that we feel like, man, I just can't get over this. And that's where we go to God, the same as my child might come to me when they need something that they just can't physically do on their own.
Right.
Hey, Dad, I need we threw the ball up on the roof. You can't physically go up there and get it, period. I need to go do that. So the same thing, when our proximity to God, our proximity to Jesus Christ begins to make everything else dim. As we get closer and closer to our wives, for instance, if we get closer and closer to our wives, other women,
the periphery is different. You can't see them because your wife is filling in all the views.
Exactly. So it doesn't mean that those other women aren't pretty or they aren't great or anything like that. But because of my proximity to my wife now, how close I am to her, those other things taste a little less good. They're a little less appetizing to look at and things like that, or to act on that thought.
Sure.
And I believe it's the same with God. Yeah.
As I sit back and I listen to what you just said, there was a time where when I was dating my wife, she was staying in Atlanta. I was in Huntsville, and I used to tell her, I said, hey, listen, I need to see you. And she was like, for what? I said, because I'm losing your scent.
Mm-hmm.
And when I used to be with her and we walking, we talking, and we going to church and stuff like that together, you get the opportunity to smell your significant other.
That's true.
And so she used to always use, I can't think of it right now because she don't use that no more because of the way she went with her hair, but
like a certain fragrance,
it was a certain fragrance that she used, and it made her hair smell a certain way. And so when I noticed that I started losing that scent, I had to break down and say, hey, listen, I need to see you. Sometimes we have to break down. We can't just continue to be this aggressive. I'm a brute.
Yeah, I can do it without it. Yeah, I don't need you.
We have to be sensitive and say, hey, listen, I'm losing your scent.
Yes.
And I'm
to God and to our spouses.
Yeah, I need that proximity back.
Wow.
So
we have to just not always be a barbarian, but also be, because God created us all with the same makeup.
Sure.
We all sensitive. We all are caring. We all are kind. But at the end of the day, there's a distinguish between man and woman. Man.
Yeah.
And so if they can break down and say, hey, I miss you, you can say, hey, I miss you. It's okay.
Oh, no question.
And if you have a guy that say, oh man, you whip, then that's somebody you need to, if he's clowning, that's good. If he's not, you need to check your friend or let him bounce.
Yeah.
Because obviously he don't see the importance of relationships.
Right. Yeah. And the value, I think that's one of the things that has become a lot more clear recently is that, even our faith, even the faith as a believer is all about cultivating positive relationships to ultimately point us to a relationship with God
and others to him as well.
Right. Yeah. To help them see relationships that point to God. And I think that once we recognize that we derive our fulfillment in God, it will then begin to fill up our lives in such a way that we aren't as susceptible because our hungers are being met. He will help us deal with, like in my case, anger. He'll help me with that. He might help Nola with his desire for whatever, or help you with your issue. And that constant walk, that constant desire to become closer in association with him will begin to fill our lives in such a way that other things just don't satisfy like that does. And I think that's one of the steps that we each have to get to in our walk, which is, we have to surrender those things we cannot change, which you talked about that. There's some parts of us we just can't change. God has to do that for us. But then there are those things where we can say, Lord, I'm going to submit this area of problem to you. I'm going to have to just turn this over to you because I can't do this by myself.
Yep.
And I think those two things are helping to equip us. What are your thoughts on what I shared, Mustang?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, just giving it over. And I've pointed this out before. If my daughter, says, "Hey, Dad, I need your help cleaning my room," no, you have 2 hands and 2 arms and 2 legs. You can clean your room on your own. You don't need my help for that. So I think a lot of the times, like, God, I need your help with this, with messing with these women at work or whatever. I've already equipped you. You can leave that job. You can move to another part of the office.
Wait, yeah.
You can say whatever you want. Well, I don't want to leave the job and making the money, whatever you want. I've already given you the power to do that. I've given my daughter the power to clean her own room. She's got we have a dustpan and a broom and a mop and whatever the case is. She's got it already. Whether you want to do it or not is up to you, but you've got the ability. But now when it comes to things that are out of your control, I was molested as a child or this happened or this happened. And God, I have a desire for the opposite sex, or God, I have a desire to sleep with every woman I come in contact with. Then those are things I can't help because that happened to me at a young age. God, I need you for this. Tell me how. What can I do? And I believe that's when God says, okay, I understand. Seek me, you will find me. Knock, and the door will be open. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's my thoughts on that.
How about you, Nola? What are your thoughts on what we've been sharing?
Oh man, it's funny with me. I have to have specific answers. Questions directly because I'm all over the place with all kind of ideas, and I know where I be wanting to go sometime, and then I hear something that Mustang is saying, then I was like, okay, I really want to pick it back off of that right there because and so it's just kind of hard sometimes. But in the conclusion to me of everything, I would basically just surrender. What I've learned is once as long as you continue to fight it, there's nothing wrong with fighting, but sometimes God needs you to surrender so that he can show you the easy way, and there's a story where the Bible talks about Moses being kicked out of, Egypt under the Pharaoh, and he wandered in the desert. And he said at one point that he didn't know by what strength he was walking through the desert on, but he had to go through his journey to get to a certain part so that he can meet Sephra, which became his wife.
Oh, you're talking about when he left after killing the Egyptian. After he fled. Yeah.
So, sometimes, God he would give you that strength to go a certain distance so that he can wear you down, so that he can then say, you know what, now you're ready for me to work with.
Now you're relying on my strength.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had to get to the point to where I was just like, you know what? I remember driving from Huntsville back to Birmingham, and I was just crying, listening to a song by T.D. Jakes. I think I sent that song to you one time. It's called something about the storm.
I'll see if I can look it up. I'll see if I can.
This test is your storm.
Yeah, this test is your storm.
And I was listening to that song, and it wasn't until then that I realized God was saying, Hollis, I got you. What you're going through right now, you're going to overcome it. You're going to go through it. Because what he created me for was for destiny. He created me to change lives. He created me. I went through a lot of the stuff. I'm not mad that my cousin did what he did. I was mad.
One of us, right?
That makes one of us. I think everybody on the panel is want to get your cousin. They want to beat the living. I'm sorry. I don't want to cut across, but I think it's the first time during the break I probably used a string of expletives that shocked most of the panel members. But I normally remain comported, but that was not easy for me.
It really wasn't. I wish I could have been here to see.
No, I don't think that would have been a good thing.
Oh yeah. The guys here are like, wait a minute, what? But we're humans. We're men too, so we fall and we get back up.
But what God showed me, sometimes you go through things in life for an experience. However, you don't want the experience that you went through. Like I said, it took me 20-something years to get control. My desire and my appetite for a woman's body was significant. Till this day, my wife and I are still having hard marital issues because she found out how many women I've been with. Mm-hmm. And so that created a problem. And she actually said and uttered those words, what kind of master were you?
Wow.
Because my appetite was ferocious for women.
But she knows your history, your past.
However, it was something that I never disclosed to her because I felt ashamed of it. Like, you don't need to know. I know in my mind, and this is what I feel, that when you tell certain people, I know there's a lot of women that will be listening to the show that would say, wow, if he slept with that many people, I wouldn't date him. I wouldn't even marry him, regardless of if I'm a good man, and regardless of if God said this is the man supposed to be. Because of his past, I don't want that exposure. Mm-hmm. And there's women out there that would say that. we men do it every day to women. Wait, how many men you been with? Oh, nah, shorty, it's okay. There's somebody out there for you. We in our mind automatically feel like that's too much competition. You now have too many men you can bring and judge against me. And that's just the man egotistic ways. But women say the same thing. And so, like I said, I'm not mad at my cousin, because if it wasn't for him doing what he did, I wouldn't be able to
talk about the deliverance
that this could help now.
And that's where God comes in. A lot of people are like, God is this enemy. He's the one that does this to you. And you're saying he does this. No, he makes beautiful things out of the dirt. Right. He makes the flowers, those beautiful petals, out of this disgusting, nasty, filthy, grimy dirt. So out of what happened with your cousin came a beautiful, amazing flower, if I can use that about somebody like Noah.
Yes.
But, 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, therefore, and this is the New American Standard Bible, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creature. The old things passed away. Behold, new things have come. So the Nola that we are talking to today, and you tell me if I'm wrong, is not anybody like the Nola of 25, 30 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
True or false?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Literally, if you were talking to that same Nola 25, 30 years ago, what would you say? I'd love to know.
Well, if I had the opportunity to talk to him 25 years from me being right now, I would tell him, I say, listen, right now you don't see it. I would tell him, and I'm going to tell everybody else the same thing. Hold up your hand. Look at it. See how big it is. You see how big it is. God says, if you just have faith enough the size of a mustard seed, I'm giving you the faith the size of your hand compared to your body, that you will succeed.
Oh, wow. Okay. I see
that
what you're
you
saying.
will succeed.
I see what you're saying.
You're looking at your hand. I ain't going to compare your hand to the size of a mustard seed.
Mustard seeds are pretty small.
It's very small. And God is saying, because of you as a human, I know how weak you are. But I'm going to make it so easy for you. If you just have it the size of a mustard seed.
Man, that's crazy.
Then that's
all the faith you
everybody
need.
can look at this. And most people don't know what a mustard seed. That's why so many people are broken.
Yeah.
In comparison, if you look at your hand and you say my hand compared to my body don't even make up 90%.
Yeah, it's a very small part. Yeah.
Very.
But a mustard seed is even
in relation to
smaller.
your body, God is saying just the size of a mustard seed. You ain't got to do nothing but ask God, say, God, help me. I believe that you can help. Just you saying those words, sometimes you uttering. Me and Ken was coming down here today and he said, if you can recite what the lady had a scripture on a prayer on one of her pages that you said.
Oh yeah. She had a prayer. She said, Lord, conform me to your will, that I may live according to your purpose, transform me, renew me, let your spirit guide and direct me. And I said, I need that prayer.
Yeah.
And that's right. Sometimes we have to ask for that renewing, that directing, that spirit, and you got to submit to it.
And that's it. And once you submit and believe, again, let's put belief, let's put faith all in your hand and compare your hand to the size of your body. You have, I don't even know how small a mustard seed is, but imagine how many mustard seeds you can fit into the palm of your hand.
Quite a number.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so if you just compare it to your hand, then you have more than enough faith to conquer anything that you're going through in life.
Man.
Well, gentlemen, that is what we need to wrap on this week. We are out of time. We would like to invite our listeners to not only check us out here on the radio, but check us out on our social media sites, including Facebook. Just simply search Conversations from the Cave. Also, our iTunes, same thing, searching Conversations from the Cave, iHeartRadio, and we even now have a YouTube channel. And subscribe to our Spreaker.com channel and simply searching the Conversations from the Cave podcast. And we would love to have you aware of every time we publish a brand new podcast. Again, thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Kirk Kennedy. And until next time, love one another.
Conversations from the Cave is brought to you by the Alabama Cornea Care Center, Northern Alabama's first irregular cornea, keratoconus, and scleral lens referral center, specializing in the management of degenerative cornea disease and complications resulting from refractive surgery. For more information, you may visit them on the web at alabamacorneacare.com. The Alabama Cornea Care Center, helping patients see the light of the world. Conversations from the Cave is a production of the Provox Media Group. For more information or to share your questions or comments, visit our podcast Facebook page by searching Conversations from the Cave. The views expressed on this program are the personal beliefs of the panelists and do not necessarily represent the beliefs of the Provox Media Group or its sponsors. Join us next time for more real talk from real men. Conversations from the Cave.